week's episode of Naruto Shippuden officially gets the badass seal of approval because Might Guy finally gets to have his final battle with Madara Uchiha. Not only that, but both Naruto and Sasuke come to terms with the fact that they are indeed the reincarnations of Ashura and Indra, the sons of the Sage of the Six Paths. This week's episode is exactly what the doctor ordered. After months of mediocrity and crappy filler episodes and piss-poor animation, we finally get a really well-done, competent episode of Naruto Shippuden. I really hate that I have to say that, but this week's episode just hit all the right spots. Before I even get to the battle between Might Guy and Madara, I just want to say the first half of the episode was really atmospheric and handled very well, especially how the Sage of the Six Paths was talking to both Naruto and Sasuke at the same exact time, and how he reassured them that they are indeed the reincarnations of Indra and Ashura. We also get to learn a few more facts, of course, about Kaguya, and of course that both Madara and Hashirama were the original reincarnations of Ashura and Indra, but both Naruto and Sasuke decide that they are going to take up these mantles so that they can protect their friends and save the ninja world from Madara and the power of this evil giant chakra tree. But right after that, we get right to the big star of this week's episode, which is Might freaking Guy. After a short flashback with him and his father and him starting his rivalry with Kakashi, we get an amazing scene where Guy uses this amazingly awesome forbidden taijutsu technique known as the Night Guy. It's this big badass kick which takes the form of a massive red chakra dragon, and it just destroys Madara in this week's episode. You remember that scene from Dragon Ball Z where like half of Cell's body was completely destroyed? That's exactly what happens in this week's episode. And despite the fact that Guy just completely like annihilated Madara this week, Madara's just fine. He just heals himself and even seems to be really excited over the prospect of actually fighting against what he considers to be the strongest taijutsu user in the ninja world. But clearly the highlight to the scene is the animation and the atmosphere behind it, and of course the voice acting. I've never really praised Madara's voice actor that much, but in this week's episode, you could feel the excitement in his voice when he was getting ready to fight against Guy. And Guy himself was just so friggin' amazing. I especially loved the little design change they did where you could actually see like the chakra flames or like veins which were going all over his body, and then he immediately just erupted towards the battlefield and kicked him point blank range, sending him right into the tree. And if this were any other normal person, they would have been defeated. But Madara has the power of the Sage of the Six Paths. He's even getting closer to the true power of Hagoromo Otsutsuki, and that's just going to increase the tension all the bit more. But despite the fact that this attack was so incredibly powerful, Guy's done. Madara's okay, and he's getting ready to finish him off with one of his evil chakra balls, and that's when Naruto shows up with the power of both Kurama and the Sage combined, and he kicks away one of his chakra balls, and damn, that was an amazing entrance. The only way it could have been better is if Sasuke joined him in some form or fashion, but it's really cool because both Naruto and Sasuke have some brand new powers which were given to them by the Sage of the Six Paths, the power of the sun and the power of the moon. And they're going to combine their powers to try to defeat Madara. There's going to be a few more twists and turns in the next couple of weeks. We're just going to have to wait to see how that's going to unfold. What is interesting to note, though, if you guys actually look at the preview for the next episode, correct me on this if I'm incorrect, but it almost seems like we're about to have another filler episode. And after this one, that's an extreme disappointment. It honestly looks like it's going to be an episode that's focusing on Naruto and Konohamaru, and supposedly the next episode is going to be a double, so hopefully they'll get right back to the action in the second episode, although I'm not exactly being all that hopeful. What I will say is, this week's episode was beyond memorable and one of the best episodes of the entire arc, nay of the entire series. This was definitely the crowning moment for Might Guy. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? We need more episodes like this. We need more atmosphere, good voice acting, amazing artwork, and action scenes that really get you pumped up. No hyperbole, as soon as Might Guy actually kicked Madara point blank, I jumped out of my chair and got really excited. It was one of those moments where throughout the entire episode, as Guy was actually powering up, I could actually feel my body like shaking and getting all excited like, oh, this is gonna be so awesome! That combined of course, with the amazing music cues and the voice acting, just really made this an incredibly memorable episode that any Naruto fan should definitely check out, especially if you're a fan of Might Guy, because this is clearly the biggest moment in the entire series for him. And, you know, it's so strange watching it in the anime version as opposed to reading it in the manga, because I remember actually reading this chapter in the manga, and when the chapter ended, we were pretty much fully convinced that Guy was going to be dead at this point. We're like, oh, that's it. He's not coming back. He just used the most devastatingly powerful taijutsu technique in the world, and we had to wait, like, I believe a whole 2 weeks before we could even get our answer as to what was going to happen to Guy. And luckily in this week's episode, they decided to get right to it, and they showed that Naruto is actually the one who's going to save and heal him. So at least they're going to relieve us of that and having to wait for it for a long time. Unfortunately, it looks like we are going to have to deal with that filler episode. But I'm going to hold my judgment until I see that episode. What I will say is this episode right here was damned awesome. Super high quality. You guys wanted me to do a reaction to it, and I really wish that I would have, because that one moment where he kicked him, I really am not kidding you guys. I jumped up. It was freaking awesome. And definitely one of the best action scenes that I've seen from the entire series and from this war, and I can only hope that after this battle right here, they really put a lot of love, attention, and detail into the next big fights that are coming up, because they are going to only get crazier from here. And I don't want to spoil anything for those who just watch the anime version. Just know that it's going to get awesome, and some of your favorite characters are definitely going to show up, and there's also going to be a few new surprises. There are already some hints to that in this week's episode, and you might be able to find them. Otherwise, great episode across the board, fantastic action, animation, artwork, voice acting, music. Just a perfect episode of Naruto Shippuden. So I'm going to give this week's episode a 5 out of 5. All for the Night Guy. It was freaking awesome. So check it out, Naruto fans. Whether you've read the manga version or you're continuing to watch the anime, you gotta check this one out. You're definitely gonna see something you like. So, I loved this episode. I was just gushing over it, but I want to hear from you guys. What did you think about this week's episode of Naruto Shippuden? What did you think about the final battle between Guy and Madara? Did it satisfy your needs for badass action? And what do you hope to see from the rest of the Naruto Shippuden anime series? Make sure to tell me in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching my review. Make sure to like it and share it with all of your friends, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you can see all of our latest anime and manga reviews, as well as our weekly podcast show, The Powerful Nerdcast, which you can find on our channel, as well as on iTunes and on Rogue Intel. And we would really appreciate it if you guys went to our iTunes page, gave us a good rating, and give us a quick review. Just a couple of sentences just telling us what you like about the show. But remember, as always, the best way to support our channel is to simply watch our videos and to share them with your friends. So thank you guys so much again for watching, and as always, stay dandy, baby! Shut up!